Assassin's Creed has come a long way from the game it used to once be, where modern day had a clear story path and entwined with the historical aspects of the game perfectly, and gave them reason as well as importance to the overall overarching story of the Assassin's Creed world, to what is now a game that has excelled in every possible way, from better graphics, design, world building, mission structures to gameplay. Everything has improved all except its overarching story, which over the past few games since Assassin's Creed 3 has seemed to be put in the naughty corner by Ubisoft, in the sense that there hasn't be much going on with it.
We know who you are, what you are.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't play coy with me. There isn't time. You're an assassin.
Assassin's Creed used to be a game with a movie type story that I could see had a clear story conclusion in sight, but instead it has now been turned into more of a TV series type story, where they give you enough story just to keep you interested in hopes you return for the next episode. I mean, Juno, the main threat to humanity after Desmond released her back in AC3, has had no significant storyline since she was freed to potentially enslave mankind. I mean, 5 main games later and there still is no imminent threat from her for the Assassins and Templars living in the modern day. Now by all means, I'm not dissing Ubisoft here or the new Assassin's Creed games, because I fully believe Odyssey will be an incredible game. I mean, I played Origins and I was glad to see it get a bit back on track with its modern day, which is the whole reason the historical part of the game exists. I just wonder sometimes, since it is clear Ubisoft wants to create an open world action RPG full of choice, why don't they just take a leap of faith and develop a new AAA game instead of using the Assassin's Creed name to sell all their new ideas? Well, here's what I think about that. Even though it has been said that Assassin's Creed Odyssey will have a bigger modern day role than that in Origins, I believe it's finally time for all the modern day Assassin's Creed fans to finally accept that modern day will only be there as a means to keep exploring different historical time periods during epic historical events. And with Odyssey it proves that we don't necessarily have to even play as an assassin or Templar, since all it takes is for the modern day character wanting to find historical artifacts of power or key information from these time periods as a good enough excuse to relive them through the eyes of an important fictional historical figure who is key in finding whatever it is we need. So what I'm saying here is Assassin's Creed is no longer a game where the historical part of the game is mainly supporting the modern day overarching story. Instead, the modern day is now set up to support the reasoning for visiting all these cool time periods and events that took place throughout history. And as someone whose first PS3 game was the original Assassin's Creed that released back in 2007, which was the moment I fell in love with its story and its world, I've come to accept this. With that said, it's easy to see why players that jumped into the series without playing the first 5 main games released have no love for the modern day story, since the modern day story itself didn't know what it was trying to be, since there was no character for players to connect with after Assassin's Creed 3 up to Origins. With all the different ever-changing locations and time periods and key moments within history, believe me when I say, as long as Assassin's Creed keeps selling well, we are going to visit them all. From feudal Japan to India during the Mughal Empire or its rule under the British, to maybe even the land of the Vikings if Thor's hammer turns out to be a piece of Eden. Having said all that, I'm still excited for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I mean, I love the historical part of the game more than the modern day part itself, but the whole game in general was much better when they both perfectly synchronized together, and we had amazing characters such as Ezio and Desmond, whose stories we got to explore over multiple games, which is what I was hoping for after the release of Origins with Bayek and Layla, so hopefully after Odyssey Ubisoft will at least continue Bayek's story. I mean, for the first time ever with Odyssey, Assassin's Creed has evolved from an action-adventure game to an action role-playing game, and this is evident with Ubisoft openly wanting to make the world of Assassin's Creed more like The Witcher 3, which is why we now have a game that gives players the option of choice via dialogue, as well as branching story paths to an extent, which pretty much goes against the law of the game itself. So I'm sure you've all heard this one before. While Assassin's Creed Odyssey will be an amazing game, will it essentially be an Assassin's Creed game? Well, I feel we should at least give Ubisoft the courtesy to wait after the game's release to truly answer that question. But like I said before, Assassin's Creed has evolved and there is no truly going back to the days of Desmond. While we may get a modern day story getting back on track to an extent with the use of Layla, I doubt it will ever progress largely forward in any meaningful way, and Assassin's Creed will become a series known for its amazing dynamic gameplay and its exploration of many fictional characters spread throughout history, exploring their personal stories with a bit of modern day and Assassins vs Templars sprinkled on top. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this video on the type of game Assassin's Creed has become. While I fell in love with the series for what it originally was, I've come to accept it for what it now is, and like most AC fans today, I mainly play the games for the historical part of the game. Although, to be truthful, I always will have that tiny bit of hope that Ubisoft will somehow surprise me with the next installments modern day. As always, thank you for watching, take care, and I shall catch you guys in the next one.
I'll have the ship ready in case we need any immediate departures.
That was Kefalonia, and that was mostly your fault.
Here, Cassandra.
Here, Barnabas.